Civil Air Patrol, have you ever heard of that name? We are the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force, and we focus on emergency services, flying, and leadership to accomplish our mission of volunteers serving America's communities, saving lives, and shaping futures. And we might just be the perfect fit for you if you're between the ages of 12 and 18, have an interest in flying, emergency services, leadership, or just becoming a more well-rounded person. Here's some more concrete examples of opportunities offered in our program. Flying powered and glider planes for free, earning your private pilot's license for little to no cost towards you, participating in search and rescue and disaster relief missions, leading peers and even leading medium to large scale events, and learning military drill. If any of that sounds interesting, listen on, because we'll be looking at the three main pillars of Civil Air Patrol cadet life: cadet programs, flying and emergency services, starting from when you first join the program as a cadet. And the best part? All of these opportunities can be done at no cost to you through Civil Air Patrol's financial aid programs. Your first step in joining Civil Air Patrol will be reaching out to your local cadet squadron and attending one of their weekly meetings. The squadron is the smallest group in Civil Air Patrol and is where you'll be spending the majority of your time in the cadet program. Attending weekly meetings gives you an opportunity to see everything that is available to you in the program and see if the program is the right fit for you. After you've attended 3 weekly meetings, you can officially join the program, get your Blues uniform, and get your ABU uniform. When you officially join the program, you will join a flight. The flight consists of fellow cadets your age and 2 cadet staff who will mentor and train you. Your time spent being in a flight will see you make many friends and build a community that you will work with throughout your time in Civil Air Patrol. When you first join the program, you'll become an airman. Now, as an airman, your main job is to learn the necessary skills required to be a successful leader later on in the program. To help facilitate this growth, there are a couple main activities you'll be engaging in at your local squadron, including leadership lessons taught by cadet and adult staff, military drill to build teamwork and discipline, aerospace education classes, and team bonding physical fitness. All this teaching and training is overseen by experienced adults who often give special lessons. My squadron has had many Air Force pilots give lessons to us. But weekly meetings only offer the basic opportunities in the program. Many of the most fun and engaging activities happen outside of weekly meetings. You can join a variety of teams, for example, the High Altitude Balloon Challenge competition that squadrons participate in. You can also do rifle and flag drill with your squadron outside of weekly meetings. And most squadrons usually organize fun weekend activities. For example, I once organized a tour of NASA Goddard for my squadron. There are also activities organized outside of your squadron that you can attend. For example, there's the State Level Cadet Advisory Council, which I currently vice chair for Maryland Wing, where we meet to discuss issues across the state and draft solutions to them. There are also a bunch of state level activities that you can join that are a ton of fun. In addition, there are search and rescue exercises and orientation flights, which are some of the biggest parts of the program, and you can skip to ahead through the timestamps below. Now that you've learned all the necessary knowledge about how to lead in the cadet program, you'll be applying that knowledge as a cadet sergeant. A major mark of becoming a sergeant in the cadet program is squadron leadership positions. These positions allow you to teach and mentor fellow cadets at your squadron. Now there are 2 types of positions: line staff positions, which see you lead flights and mentor their cadets, and also support positions, which see you teach lessons and run some of the behind-the-scenes aspects of the squadron. For example, there's the aerospace department, which organizes orientation flights and teaches aerospace lessons every month. One of the most rewarding positions for new sergeants is the position of flight sergeant. As a flight sergeant, you become a direct mentor and leader to a flight. You teach them drill and leadership lessons, help them become the best versions of themselves. And as you start to practice leadership, you learn in a way that reading a textbook just can't teach you. Now that you've become an excellent leader as a sergeant, there's one more task to complete before embarking on the next chapter of your life in the cadet program, and that task is encampment. Encampment is a week-long summer program designed to enhance your skills in teamwork and leadership, and help you push your limits as a cadet. Encampment can be very challenging, but it's also a lot of fun. At my encampment, you got extra orientation rides for free. We flew in military helicopters, had talks from many high-up leaders in the military, and many more fun activities. Overall, everyone I've talked to has sung their praises about their experience at encampment. Now, after graduating encampment, you become eligible, no matter your rank, to attend National Cadet Special Activities. These activities are usually week-long camps held during the summer that allow you to experience specialized parts of the program. These academies include engineering academies, leadership academies, emergency services and flying academies, honor guard academies, and there's even an academy for pararescue. Oh, and don't worry about costs for encampment and these academies. There's financial aid for both, so cost is of no issue. Now that you've completed encampment, you can embark on the final chapter of your cadet life, becoming an officer. Becoming an officer opens some of the most influential and rewarding positions available to you in the cadet program. As a sergeant, you saw the smaller picture and led smaller groups. However, as an officer, you start to lead in the bigger picture. You start planning long-term objectives and goals for your unit and teams. You start leading multiple people and even departments, or even an entire squadron. As an officer, you can start to lead state, regional, and national level activities. For example, I'm the vice chair of the Maryland Wing Cadet Advisory Council, while I help oversee our dozens of members discussing issues across the state and drafting solutions. You can also lead many statewide competitions as an officer, which I have also done. And you can even lead national level activities, such as encampments or National Cadet Special Activities as an officer. There you go, that's an overview of all the amazing opportunities available to you in the cadet program side of Civil Air Patrol. And while all these opportunities may seem very far away, with consistent dedication you can achieve them all, believe me. But it all starts with your first meeting.
Good morning, I'm Captain David Samron. I'm a orientation pilot here at College Park Composite Squadron. So cadets get 5 orientation flights in a Civil Air Patrol aircraft. Those 5 flights are intro flight. So basically you get to learn what ailerons is, elevators, the rudder, basically the configuration of the aircraft and how it flies. The second is normal flight maneuvers. So you get airborne above 1,000 feet. Hand over the controls to the cadet, and you teach them normal flight maneuvers, turning left turns, right turns, up, down, looking at ground references on the ground. Third is advanced flight maneuvers, where you do steep turns, left, right, ascends, descends, slow flight, and the such. Have the cadet demonstrate that to you. Fourth is instruments, so you'll have the cadet fly the aircraft and have them look at the instrumentation in the aircraft, so all the speed, the vertical speed indicator, the altimeter, the turn coordinator, compass, and other critical instruments on the aircraft. The fifth and final orientation flight is weather. So looking at weather systems, tracking weather in the present, in the future, and how it's going to affect your flight that day, and what the forecast looks like for tomorrow as well. As part of your program as well, you get 5 orientation flights in a glider. Once you finish all your 5 orientation flights, then you can apply to the flight academies. Flight academies take you from basically 0 hours to soloing an aircraft. When you solo an aircraft, flight instructor steps out of the aircraft, and now you become the sole manipulator of the controls of the aircraft, and you fly a pattern at the airport where you're training at. Now, once you're selected in the flight academy, you got to study up. You got ground school, and you got flying. So ground school, make sure you study all your material, make sure you understand the principles of flight before even setting foot at a flight academy. Once you're at the flight academy, you're flying constantly, a couple hours a day, 10 days straight. So once you've completed that solo, then it's time to think, what you want to do next. Get your private pilot's license. The Wings program looks favorable of candidates who have completed their solo flight and their 5 orientation flights in order to get into the Wings program and then take advantage of that opportunity to get your private pilots fully funded. There you will follow the FAA requirements in order to meet the hours of private pilot's license, which is a minimum of 40 hours of flight time. 10 hours solo time, 30 hours with a flight instructor. And once you've completed your private pilot's license, you now can become a CAT pilot.
I would say the O flight was not pretty scary for me. It is pretty much what I expected, but for the controls and stuff, from going left to right was a bit tricky for me, but so far it was a great learning experience.
While many people know Civil Air Patrol assists in emergency services, many people don't know the full scale of opportunities available to them within emergency services. Emergency services can be broken up into 3 main categories: search and rescue, disaster relief, and humanitarian services. The first and biggest focus is search and rescue, where Civil Air Patrol searches for missing persons, downed aircraft, or emergency location transmitters, and either finds or rescues them. To become qualified for a role, you must first learn how to operate in a role. The most common trainings for learning how to operate in a role are emergency service academies and search and rescue exercises, otherwise known as SARXs. SARXs are trainings that replicate real-life missions. During these trainings, you'll be tasked with a specific job and taught how to operate in that job, giving you a learning by doing experience. Emergency service academies, on the other hand, typically last longer than SARXs and involve more instruction about emergency services. However, this allows you to be trained in more scenarios, giving you the opportunity to earn a full qualification or more in a single weekend. For disaster relief, Civil Air Patrol mainly does ground and air transportation and surveillance. During many hurricanes, we set up points of distribution services where we distribute resources to the local communities in need. Humanitarian services, Civil Air Patrol mainly flies time-sensitive medical equipment. And during COVID-19, we did a bunch of distribution for medical equipment. Now that you have a main overview of Civil Air Patrol, my only question is, what will you do?